Hey everyone, welcome back to the Castaway Consultants, sometimes now known as the Cuisine Consultants, where we teach future Survivor players how to play the game, and sometimes we talk about chili by criticizing current players and old recipes. I am one of your three co-hosts, Derek Kubicek, and I really did fumble through that improv intro. Today we are talking about episode 7 of season 49 of Survivor Smack Talk, and I'm joined by my two culinary correspondents, Josh and Ryan. All jokes aside, how are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. I'm glad we left the chili in. The chili was hit. Here's the update on the chili situation. I made my white chicken chili today, and it was delicious.
The people will be disappointed to know he did not save a bowl for me.
Yeah, next time.
What? I feel like the entire purpose of the conversation is now just out the window.
I agree, but we do have Survivor to get to tonight. We're not going to linger too long on the chili. I loved the episode tonight overall. I'm a little bit tired of this particular mechanic in the game that we'll talk once we get into the spoiler section. But I really am appreciative of the result. I think it was the most interesting thing that could have happened for the next few episodes, for moving into the final phase of the game, so to speak.
I'm pretty fine with this mechanic with the merge fixed because, like I said, last week was just a merge with extra steps. It was one person had immunity. It was a normal vote. We got that. Now you could split them up and do this twist. You could wait until we'd have another regular vote. I think that might be even better. But tonight was fun, and it was funny. The immunity challenge was absolutely hysterical. One of the funniest challenges we've had. So yeah, great time tonight.
Great time, great results. I must say, I was pleasantly surprised with who ended up going home. I even tossed a joke out there in our little group chat that we have going on during the episode, mostly as a joke, and it ended up being 100% right. So that was amazing.
Josh called his shot tonight, even if it was a joke.
Even if it's a joke. Other than that, I'm perfectly fine with this mechanic. I still don't really like that the first person that gets voted out isn't a member of the jury. That's the only gripe I have with it.
I agree with that. I think we merged last week. Let everybody onto the jury.
I have no opinion either way on that one. I don't have an opinion.
Wow.
Whoa, Ryan does not have an opinion.
You're getting soft in your old age. You're becoming more Randy and less Tyson.
No, Randy is definitely opinionated.
But only about angry things. Either he doesn't care or he's angry.
I have one more mode than that.
Do you?
Angry, apathetic, and hungry. Those are my 3 modes.
There's a Prindle joke in here somewhere, but...
fun episode.
Yeah, fun episode, and I'm honestly ready to get into spoilers so we can get down to brass tacks today.
All right, 3, 2, 1, spoilers, get out of here. We're going to lose 2 people tonight. The saga of Say and Cedric comes to an end. They've been intertwined this entire game, and they go out in the same episode. It's pretty funny.
It's ceremonious in that particular way. It's like we're closing the book on the pre-merge of season 48.
Yep.
This was Vula's dominant story because they were always having problems. And yeah, we managed to get some of the other tribes in there. But that is one consistent through line that, hey, there's really nothing left over. Ryan and I were joking about how Mary, of all people, is the last one standing from Vula. So she's got to be super appreciative of her shot in the dark right about now. Ryan also brought up that if Mary does happen to go home soon, they will be the earliest fully decimated tribe in the history of Survivor.
Yep. If she goes home, what are we at? We're at the final 10 now. If she goes home 10th, 9th, or 8th, this is the earliest extinction of a tribe ever. If she gets to 7th, she ties it with Oolong, the Beauty tribe, Solana from Cagayan, and then Lulu from 45 with Emily Flippin. So yeah, not a great tribe is what I'm saying.
Vula.
We'll see if they can survive this thing.
I love that you pointed that out, Derek, that this very much just feels like the if the season is going to be 2 chapters long, like this is the end of that first chapter. And I think the post-merge, even though we're already there, the post-merge is really going to feel like a post Say and Cedric game. And I'm really interested to see how that ends up playing out with the rest of the remaining players.
We'll title it Life After Vula.
Life After Vula. And I don't remember if all 3 of us were on the same page as this, but in regards to who can't win, Those were my bottom two.
Those were my two.
So we were right. Clean sweep. Now we got to pick two brand new people. We'll get into that later.
Well, and for people who pay attention to the forks that I give out, it's been Say and Cedric for like 4 weeks now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Even I put a fork in Cedric.
And I didn't put any new forks in for the longest time. Spoiler alert, I might have a new fork tonight.
All right.
But obviously Say and Cedric went home, so everyone get your rank down, dank down, jank downs prepared. Submit that on Spotify or via social media any way that you want, because we are going to be collecting that from the listeners this week and averaging those results. But at the end of this podcast, we are going to give our rank down. So if you don't want any bias, do that now.
Do it now. I love it when I see unbiased opinions on, especially like Spotify comments, social media comments, whatever it might be. If you're on YouTube, go and do it. We'll find you wherever and compile it together.
Do it while you're listening to the body of this podcast, because we know you watched the episode. Come on, we know you did. So while we're recapping good and bad, give us your link down.
All right. Should we get to the episode proper?
Yes, we should.
All right. The group gets back to camp, and Mitch obviously feels on the bottom. He was the only one who was left in the dark about Charity going home. And he's told, like, we didn't want to tell you because you were close to Charity. So he's going to try and do basically a world tour of building up his social game. He's going to go to Say, Shaheen, and Joe and try and make bonds with all of them and just try to make that connection. And that might have been what saved him tonight. He probably should have gone home. And it may have been his connection to Joe that he built up to in this episode that saved him tonight.
It could be, because Joe is someone who wants to play with people who are strong and loyal, which Mitch kind of raised his profile by doing this as well. But this is baseline Survivor. If you get blindsided like this, you need to go back and make nice, particularly with the enemy. And right now he's surrounded by nothing but enemies, and Chrissy, who also is kind of kind of an enemy.
So he basically, his whole tribe, his original tribe, left him out. What do? Join the other tribe. So he's connecting with people who were not on his original tribe. Smart. I love it.
What more can they do to me?
And I'm shocked that it actually ends up, I'm not going to say that it works, because, I don't want to attribute it all to just these efforts right now. But there was one confessional by Joe where he was, almost using this as a reason to potentially get him out. It's just like, he has a great story. He's been great at challenges. Like, I would probably give my vote to him in the end. Like, we were basically being told that Mitch probably should be going home soon.
Yep. But he didn't. I think it helped. It might not have pushed it over the edge, but I do think it helped. And it's what you have to do.
You're at least making it harder for them to cut you.
Yeah. It's going to hurt. You can cut me, but it's going to hurt you as well.
Yes.
No one knows where this mysterious Cedric vote from last time came from. And apparently Say even changed her handwriting up and wrote it in cursive to vote for Cedric. And it was purely spite. Pure spite.
Don't do this.
I'm very glad she's out of the game after this episode. Very glad.
Honestly, genius move, though, to use different handwriting. Like, if under circumstances where this was more strategic, I would, give her a lot more credit for it. But since this was a spite vote, and since that one spite vote could have actually sent her home if other, wacky advantages ended up being played, this would have been really impressive. But it was just dumb.
And we've talked about vote marking in the past, so we don't have to talk about that now. It is interesting, though, that she changed up her handwriting. I feel like she was left out to the point where nobody really cared what her vote marker was. And nobody probably cared what Charity's vote marker was either, so there's plausible deniability. But hey, you know what? Anytime we can reference T-Bird on the podcast, that's a happy day.
Yep. So we're going to get to the immunity challenge. And there are 2 groups of 6, 2 winners, 2 people going home. Of the 2 winners, there's a purple team and an orange team. The winning person left standing wins reward for their tribe. They get to go to tribal council second, and the person eliminated there will make the jury, whereas the person from the first group will not make the jury, and they do not get a reward. We've seen this a few times now. And it's hilarious. It's really, really funny. A lot of good smack talk going on between a bunch of friends, a bunch of yoked people just going for it. Absolute showdown. It ends up being... So here are the teams. Orange is Star, Joe, Mitch, Chrissy, Eva, and Say. And Joe's going to end up winning for them. but he doesn't win overall, so they're going to Tribal Council first. The purple group is Kyle, Camilla, David, Cedric, Mary, and Shaheen, with David winning. So they're going to get to go to second. They get reward. It's really fun, and I think my favorite part is Shaheen making the montage sequence noises that they use during a challenge, and then the editors just keep cutting back to him making the noises because Jeff tells him to do it, and it's just hysterical.
Just the tribal chants. I love
it. It sounded ridiculous, like on its own, but then they put it with some music in the actual situation where they would have done this anyways, and it sounded almost perfect.
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it. This is some amazing editing. They even get Jeff to do a promo to apply for Survivor in the middle of the challenge. Just like, I'll do it right now. It was so great.
I feel like Jeff is having the time of his life on this season.
I think Jeff really likes this cast.
Yeah. And they set a record for time.
It was almost an hour, I think.
Mm-hmm.
50-something minutes.
The 52 was, I think, the last checkpoint we got.
Meanwhile, Cedric lasted, like 15, 20 seconds?
20
seconds. Hey, you know what? If you know you're not winning, keep your hands. He's a surgeon.
Yeah, he needs his hands.
Yeah. He's not getting Doctor Strange powers, I don't think. I hope he does. He seems like a guy who would wield that power appropriately, but he needs his hands.
Yep. I would be terrible at this. The two groups get divided. Purple's going to go back to camp. Orange gets sent back to the old Sega camp. So let's just go through this one tribe at a time. So we don't have to come back and forth. So let's just start with Orange, and we'll go through everything with Orange. So with Orange, it really is Say and Mitch are the two targets that it ends up being. Say is very chaotic. Mitch is a threat. He's really good at the game, and he has a block vote. Those are the reasonings.
Also a free agent.
Okay. Chrissy, who is Mitch's ally, is even going to be like, you know what, maybe we should get rid of Mitch. He's kind of losing it a little bit. He is a huge threat. Maybe we should take him out. Chrissy, don't say that. If you have a closer relationship with Mitch over Say, which she does, in this situation, don't throw out Mitch's name. If Mitch is going, by all means, let him go. But don't be the person to be like, hey, maybe we should get rid of Mitch. Maybe we should get rid of my ally.
Well, and even maybe if they were the second tribe to be going to Tribal Council, I'd be more okay with it, because then, if it's not going to end up really happening, at least Mitch is on the jury in that situation, and you could get his vote in the end. Here, if it would go that way, Mitch is out of the game, not on the jury. One of your only closest allies is going to have no say in who wins the game. Just all around bad if that would actually end up happening.
I want to rewind just a little bit. Ryan, you said it's clearly like Mitch or Say. That's every bit of conversation that we got. It's Mitch or Say. We are sometimes game body on this podcast. What should be happening if everybody is playing beside themselves here? Because I want to make a proposal here that the three non-OG loggies, Chrissy, Say, and Mitch, need to be using Mitch's block a vote to try and take out a loggy. They know about Eva's idol. I suspect they should try and take out Star.
That would be a great move.
The funny thing is, I think Say's agency of chaos is what came to bite her, because she said, Mitch has got to go. Say, Mitch, I think, may have been your one hope.
Yeah, I think if Say and Mitch had convinced Chrissy to team up with them, use the block a vote on Star, let's say, and then vote her out of the game. Maybe Eva tries to save Star, but then, Say or Mitch is gone. No, Chrissy will be okay.
Well, and then you've burned an idol.
And an idol's gone.
So the three people on the outside of Loggy needed to come together here to try and shake up the game, but everyone just kind of bowed down to the superior three. It's so fascinating to watch it happen, and I think it was Say's fault.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Oh, it's 100% her fault. She was seeing red after he gave her a vote, just like the other 3 times that this has happened in this season with her. She needs to, put that ego outside, off the island, and try to get something else together here. I'm glad you said that, because I didn't even think about that scenario, Derek. That would have been perfect for them.
Yeah, would have been great, but we're not going to do it.
Yeah, obviously not within the realm of reality for these people.
Mitch is going to offer to play his block a vote on Say, and he's going to tell this to Joe. And hey, we can guarantee she goes home. She won't be able to play her shot in the dark. She's just gone. We're all safe. And apparently Joe's going to take him up on his offer.
And I don't blame him. I think if you have something like that in the bag where, hey, this is some twist Survivor mechanic-y nonsense, you can force people back into a conservative mode. And if there's just a way where you get through, you're going to be okay with that more often than not.
Counterpoint, you agree to this. Mitch plays the block vote on Say, and then you vote out Mitch.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that. You could. I'm just saying.
That'd be funny. The block vote, I feel like, is one of the least powerful advantages in the game, just because it has to be used in the perfect situation on the right person and have the numbers be close enough to actually matter. The first situation where I think that works well is the exact situation that Derek laid out, where you're overthrowing a majority of people by using it. And I think the second one is this one, where you're blocking someone to prevent them from using something like a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
So it worked.
It worked. We're going to go to tribal council. Chrissy is going to talk far too much and be way too honest about how she perceives the game, how eventually we're going to have to all turn on each other, make big moves, and take out people with great stories and big threats. People like Joe and Mitch, who are sitting right next to her.
Doesn't she name drop them too?
I think she says
Joe for sure.
She says Joe. If I'm Joe, I'm like, she's next. Get rid of her.
Joe will remember you said that.
So I really hated that for Chrissy. I thought that was terrible. Say's vote is going to get blocked by Mitch, and we're going to end up getting 5 votes for Say. So the end of the Say story here, was this the right move?
The only thing I'm thinking about, let's talk about who's ending up on the jury then. You are now bringing Mitch onto the jury. Mm-hmm. Mitch is very likely going to vote for Asiva unless you keep him around long enough to make him feel comfy in the later part of this game, because he was betrayed by Siva once already, and he's still a free agent. And now, because this is a unanimous vote, not a split vote, maybe Mitch feels like, hey, he can roost here for a little while. But it is a risk bringing somebody on who has a lot of Siva still standing. If you were to bring Say onto the jury, I mean, she might vote for Mary, I guess. But, I mean, Mary kind of hates her. So from a jury management standpoint, probably not. But I can't think of enough wrong with it to say that this is definitively the wrong move to bring Mitch.
Well, I'm going to say the right move is what we mentioned earlier, even though it's not in the realm of possibility and it's all Say's fault, it's Star.
Oh, okay, fine.
This is certainly possible to do.
But, Ryan, you've done this before. Of the 2 options we were presented with, I think either is fine for at least half of the people who are here. And actually, you know what? No, I changed my mind. The wrong person went home because Star needs Mitch to go. Star cannot beat Mitch. She should not be as stuck with Loggy as she is. She needs to keep the Says and the Chrissies and the Cedrics around if she can.
Star's going to tell us as much that she wants the threats to go.
Yeah.
So Mitch should have gone. So yeah, I think Mitch should have gone over Say. Star should have gone over everybody.
So I will stand off my spot, and I will say that Mitch should have probably been the one to go for the majority of people on this group.
Yeah, I said the wrong person just because I was looking between just those 2, between Mitch and Say. I said Mitch probably should have been the one to go just because... 1, I think he would have been a bigger threat. And then 2, it seemed like he had the least... I tried not to buy into too much of the new relationship development from this episode. So I was also thinking as far as him not really having that many connections out there. So for a lot of people who are remaining in this group of 6... they're not really going to have a benefit from him being on the jury and sticking around that long. So it wasn't really much of a reason to be like, well, let's get Say out of here so that Mitch is on the jury and I can get his vote. I don't think that was much of a reason.
Okay, so let's go over to purple then. The obvious vote is Cedric. We have David, Shaheen, Kyle, who are all in that alliance with Camilla on the outskirts, and then Mary, who knows what she's doing. But Cedric is not in this group at all, so Cedric is the very obvious vote. Kyle wants to kind of maybe make an opportunity to take out Shaheen. He does not trust Shaheen because he went through Kyle's bag back in the day. So we get a talk, and basically Kyle and Camilla come up with this plan. Camilla goes and tells David that she suspects Shaheen might have an idol, just to try and throw some shade on Shaheen and maybe make things turn around onto Shaheen. It doesn't work, but I do think it makes David a little skeptical. And if next time on Survivor is to be believed, maybe David has a meltdown about Shaheen. Who knows? Because next time on Survivor shows David having a meltdown of some kind. But ultimately, I don't think Shaheen was ever really in danger here.
I pointed out to Ryan after the episode ended that for all the talk of, trying to get the target moved on to Shaheen, we never actually saw Camilla or Kyle suggest this to David. It was more, well, there's this one guy here. He's a little bit shady. So it felt like maybe some manufactured drama, and maybe we got some out of order editing too. It's possible. But yeah, I don't feel like Shaheen was actually in much danger tonight. It felt like everyone was okay with letting Cedric go.
Oh, I thought he was in danger.
The
I was
edit
worried.
definitely played it up, but I think in hindsight, it's like, I don't think so.
Yeah. Off topic for this specific vote, but from what we're seeing with, Camilla and Kyle kind of conspiring a little bit against Shaheen, is the foursome that we had during the swap, is that just not going to happen, do you think? Because I really like that foursome, and I truly believe that they were going to do something, but it doesn't really seem like that's the case.
I think it'll fall apart probably next week.
Bummer. I was rooting for it.
I don't think it was ever going to last. But it ends up being 5 votes for Cedric, 1 vote for Sheen. I'm going to go with the right move, the safe vote this time around. You want to keep the strong person alliance alive for a little bit longer before you start turning on each other. So I think the Cedric vote was fine.
Yeah, let's focus on who's left here. The only person here who should want to keep Cedric is Mary, because original Vula, even though Cedric did vote for you, Vula is a dying breed. They don't know it, but Say is already gone. And Mary doesn't have much of a resume to her game, and the best thing that she did was get safe on her shot in the dark, and nobody saw that except Cedric and Say. So she's kind of drawing dead on things right now. She does seem to have locked in with Shaheen in terms of like a voting block for right now. So for my purposes in headcanon, I've got her counted with Loggy. But she should probably want to keep Cedric here and should maybe be pushing for a Kyle or a Camilla to go home. I wish we would have seen more from her on that front. I want to know why nobody was targeting Kyle and Camilla here at all. Maybe Camilla because she's not seen as a threat, but certainly Kyle. Is it because of the same reason that we're not targeting Shaheen? He's in kind of the strongman honor integrity alliance?
Probably. So are we all on the same page as the story move?
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so now that we've gone through both tribal councils, what did social media have to say? Did they agree with these picks?
Yeah, so these double ones are a little wonky when it comes to polls, just because I like to toss them all into one poll. So I asked if the right people got voted out at both of them. Gave 4 options. Those 4 options are yes and yes, yes and no, no and yes, and no and no. That's for the first tribal and the second tribal. And the number 1 vote getter was no.
Okay.
So Mitch and Shaheen.
Yeah, they think it should have been Mitch and Shaheen. Okay. So I think were we all no and yes?
Yep. And then the second most popular was yes and yes.
Okay. Interesting. Well, social media's wrong again. Shocker.
What do we do?
What you gonna do? All right. So let's get into best and worst player of the episode. Because there's a double elimination here, we can give out 2. We so choose. So Derek, start us off. Who are your 2 best players of the episode if you gave out 2?
Yeah, and I actually stayed entirely away from the Mitch, Chrissy, Joe, Eva tribe, because even though I think, I guess I think the wrong person went home, but even the people who were in the majority 3 over there, I didn't like how Joe was pretty standoffish with Say. I didn't like how he was a little bit closed off with Mitch. We're getting to see kind of the negative side of that honor and integrity gameplay. Well, it does make you a really big threat. It makes people less likely to work with you when things start to get a little more strained. So I stayed away from that tribe entirely. First one, I gave it to Kyle, because I think the seeds of the strongman alliance are finally paying off for him. He wasn't even a target, despite being a fairly big target, in my opinion, as a viewer. But obviously, he's camouflaged enough to where it's of no concern. And he's still got the under-the-radar alliance with Camilla, and he threw some shade on Shaheen for next time, or for the future. My second one, and this is a weird one, I debated on this. I gave it to Shaheen, because say what you want, he was the lone Loggy, and Loggy is known to be the majority of this honor integrity alliance. It would have been a perfect opportunity to take him out, but because he made these connections, particularly with David and with Kyle, who, because of situation, Kyle needs to go along with this at least one more vote to have a leg to stand on moving forward. He survived tonight. I think this was a trial for him, and he made it through. Not, a little worse for the wear, but still alive. So I'm giving it to Shaheen.
Josh?
I did have one person from each tribe. Honestly, I almost only gave out one. Mitch was the only one that I thought of right away, just because I thought that the work that he did early on in the episode was really good to try to do something because it seemed like he had not really many connections going into this episode. So good on him for that. Also, he probably should have been the one to go home, and he wasn't. So also good on him for that. So I was for sure going to be giving it to him. And then just instead of, having no one for the second one, I'm tossing one David's way just because he won immunity for himself and got his tribe reward. And someone like Cedric isn't really someone that is an issue with, an alliance member for him. So I tossed the second one to David.
Okay. I agreed with you on the first one. I gave mine to Mitch. He bonded with a lot of people. He survived, and playing the block of vote definitely lowers his threat level, so maybe, he'll be able to move forward a little more freely. My second one, I went with Camilla. Voting out Cedric was totally fine for her, no big deal, but she was the one who, in person, did the shade throwing on Shaheen, so to David, so I gave her the credit for being the one to do it. So that was my tiebreaker for Camilla and Kyle. So I have Mitch and Camilla.
Not going to fight either of you on either of those.
Let's go over to worst players. Josh, who do you got?
This was tough. And it was tough because I didn't think that there was really a whole lot of bad gameplay overall. So this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler to my rank downs because I'm going to default to giving it to the two people who I think are the worst off for these people going home. And that is because it's going to be the two people who I think can no longer win the game. So for me, it's Star and it's Chrissy. Chrissy, there's other stuff going on here other than that I think that she did poorly in this episode. So I was for sure going to give it to Chrissy for one of them. And then the second one was just Star, just because you could have kept Say around and competed against her.
I completely agree with Josh. I had Star and Chrissy. I think Star is the one who's hurt the most by Say going home on that tribe. I think she should have, she says that she wants Mitch out. Push for that a little harder. So Star is was one. Chrissy was my second one because of basically her tribal council performance. Now, Mitch staying in the game is good for her, so that levels it out a little bit, but I just think her tribal council performance might take her down very soon. So I have Star and Chrissy.
I chose to only give out one. I gave it out to Chrissy because of the tribal council performance, throwing names out, saying, like, this is who can win the game. And, like, Joe is not someone that you're close with. He's not going to take that as a joke. That is a serious threat. Maybe not today, but it's a serious threat. I'm not going to give it out to anyone else because I feel like when you split up like this and it's a game mechanic that you're trying to maneuver and any little thing could be the reason that you go home, the people who are still here, they still have mostly a chance. So I only gave out one and I gave it to Chrissy.
Okay. Well, let's get into who's going next. As far as we know, we're not splitting up again, so it should only be one this time. So who is the next person going out of the game? I'll go first. I think this David meltdown is going to happen, but it's not going to get David sent out of the game. I think because his name was not brought up at all in Next Time on Survivor, I think we're going to see the downfall of Shaheen here. I think Kyle and Camilla's plan is going to come into effect, and somebody's going to get taken out. Maybe David will win immunity and save himself with this meltdown. I don't know, but I just think he is going to try and take out Shaheen and succeed. So that is my pick.
I'm going with Mitch. When I look at the people left and where the threat decimating might start, he raised his profile by raising his social status this episode. And, well, yes, he used his block of vote to guarantee certainty to the Loggy 3 that everyone makes it through this time. Favors are short-lived on Survivor, and I don't think they have much of a reason to keep him, especially now with 5 Siva coming back together. It's dangerous no matter how you slice it. So I think that Mitch will go next.
I am going to go ahead and take the Next Time on Survivor. Actually, at its word, it happens like once a season, and I think this is going to be the one. I'm going David. There was enough that was actually said through, that teaser to where it's like, these are things that are actually being said by David. I can see that coming around back on him. It wasn't something like super vague like we had this past week where they're like, we're going to frame Shaheen. That didn't really mean, like, there were so many different things that could mean, or it could be just between the two of them and not actually get any attention on Shaheen or on them. So, but it seemed like this could be taken pretty seriously.
Okay. I'm very curious to see what this is going to be. I'm excited for this one. All right, let's get into who cannot win this game. We had Say and Cedric in the spots. There's 2 people left in this game who can't win if it's a final 3. Derek, who are they?
Well, I think now is where we just do our rank downs.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. So we could do the rank downs, dank downs, and lank downs. Who is most likely to win versus least likely to win?
And
Yeah.
jank downs. You skipped jank
Oh,
downs.
jank downs. Did I say lank downs?
Yeah.
Jank downs and lank downs.
So I'll just start right at the top.
Yeah, go for it.
I think as it stands right now, Joe is the biggest threat to win this game if he makes it to the end, followed by Shaheen because other people are raising his threat profile for him. And then I have Kyle, Eva, David, Mitch, Camilla, Star, and then rounding out the bottom are my two who cannot win the game as of right now, Mary and Chrissy. The tiebreaker between Star and Mary is there is a lot of Loggy that would need to end up on that jury in order for the Mary, Chrissy, Star trio to make it to the end. So I've got Mary and Chrissy on the bottom as my who can't win.
Who wins in the final two?
I think Mary wins out of Vula respect.
Okay.
All right. Now for the jank downs, I also had Joe at the top. I don't think he's going to make it to the end, but if he did, he would win. Followed by Camilla in the second spot. Followed by Eva, then Kyle, then Shaheen, then David, then Mitch, then Mary, then Star, then Chrissy. I do have Chrissy at the bottom. I think that Star has shown some sort of ability to make connections with people enough, not a lot, but enough to where I don't think she'd be like a 0 in the social category. So then it's moving on to, I just feel like Chrissy has also worked against herself a little bit with some people. So when we're talking about the bottom two, I'm looking for anything really.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we have? 10 people left. So this is divided into two tiers. There's a top 7 who is very close, virtually interchangeable, and then there's a bottom 3. I think we all know what they are. But I do not feel strongly about my top 7 order, but here's what they are. Eva, David, Joe, Kyle, Camilla, Shaheen, Mitch, and then the bottom 3 are Mary, Chrissy, and Star. Kind of the same reasons as you guys. Yeah, I think Chrissy just has more friends than Star does, so that's the only reason I put her above Star. I think Star's the better player, though, but I think Chrissy can beat her at this point. But yeah, Chrissy and Star are my bottom 2. Interesting. I'm really curious to see, like, there's got to be, like, a break to really break this up, top 7 of who can and can't win at some point. I'm really curious to see what is that going to be. Is it going to be next week with David's meltdown? Maybe.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, as an attachment to this segment, I have one new fork tonight, and it's Chrissy.
Okay.
I think with Cedric and Say going home and Chrissy's little meltdown at Tribal where she said too much, I think she has doomed herself. I think the game is over for her.
Okay.
And Ryan, you might think that there needs to be a break. I think there already is a break. I think it's a top 5.
Okay.
I think that David and Mitch aren't in that top 7 like you think.
Okay. We'll see.
Maybe.
We will see. All right. Last thing you got to do is check in with take a dive into the survivor pool.
Yeah.
Last week I had Shaheen. Derek, you had who?
David.
So we both make it through. Josh, where are we at?
Yeah, and for the people that got voted out this week, Derek had already picked both Say and Cedric, so that was really good for him. Ryan had picked Say, but he had not picked Cedric yet. So Ryan is going to be down a player versus Derek. Womp womp. Now, when it comes to the listeners, there were a lot of Mitches out there that were picked, so that was close there. Nobody had Say or Cedric picked, except for one person. One person picked Say. And now I mention it this way because this person had not participated in the Survivor pool the entire season, but then commented on Spotify saying that they're picking Say for the pool. I keep track of everyone, and this person, Jer the Bear, had not submitted a response the entire season, hops in this episode, picks Say, immediately out.
So Jer the Bear,
Jer the Bear would not have qualified for anything, so usually I would just ignore that, but I feel like it was worth mentioning.
No, it's fun. Jer the Bear, we love you as a listener, but congratulations on really batting zeros, man. That's funny.
Well, where we're at now, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah.
On the Survivor pool. I am once again going to follow Hubicki's law, and I'm going to lean hard into it. I'm going to say David is my pick.
And I think
big gamble.
And I think I'm going to do, weirdly enough, based on edit, what I think might be the riskiest pick that I can do. I'm going to do Star this week. because Star is the last person in Logi that Kyle and Camilla could flip the vote onto, where she's not really in the honor and integrity alliance, where they can get through with some plausible deniability. Oh, but I'm starting to get nervous. So I'm picking Star, but this might be my downfall. I can see Star going next, even if I picked Mitch.
Okay. So yeah, David and Star. We'll see how this goes.
Star of David.
The Star of David.
There's something here. I don't know.
There's a joke there somewhere. Okay, interesting. I'm really excited for this next episode. I just want to know, what is David melt down about?
No milk.
Not enough milk. He's running out of milk. Josh, we had a question coming on Spotify. So should we talk about that?
Yeah. So the name on this is just GWBC. Not sure if that stands for anything, but they did comment on Spotify. And if any of you other listeners out there would like your questions answered, feel free to just toss them in Spotify comments, social media, whatever. And if we see it, we will shout you out and answer it. So their question is: alliances will make a Final Four or Final Five strategy, which almost never ends up coming to fruition. I'd like your thoughts on a Final Four or Five alliance strategy where the object isn't to go to the end with each other, but an alliance that actually guarantees that whoever does will get the votes of the others. With 3 or 4 jury votes, this type of voting alliance has a much more likely chance of winning the game for one of them.
Well, I guess the optimal strategy with this current setup with the fire making challenges is you want to make a Final Four deal alliance. And if you could stick together, well, then it just comes down to fire making. But to get the jury votes, that's a lot trickier to do because, people are going to get betrayed. So I don't know if you can really make an alliance with just trying to get jury votes from the others in mind, because you'd have to betray them and then you're going to lose the jury votes, maybe. So I don't know if you can play it that way. I think right now the smartest move is to make a Final Four, and as long as you can beat the other 3, get to the fire making.
Well, and the issue too with that is, if you do have a Final Four alliance that you're bringing to actually the Final Four, they're not going to be on the jury.
Yep,
exactly. One of them will be, but the other 2 won't be. So, and I don't know how you're going to be able to get 3 or 4 people together who are going to vote for you, all get voted out before Final 3, and then still respect you enough to give you votes. I mean, it's definitely possible to do that, but to have an intentional strategy where everyone is kind of on the same page, like that's going to be really hard to do.
I think this is a really hard question to comment on with any kind of gravitas, because every cast that you get on is going to be so wildly different, and you need to be able to understand what your merge vibe is, what the jury vibe might be. Does the Mayor of Ponderosa matter?
Almost always.
Yeah. Is there animosity? But just generically speaking, if I'm throwing out one version to think about this, you want a solid block of 5 that is going up against another, block of 5, preferably not as solid as your 5, but a block of 5. And then you whittle each other down where you're never the target. And that way, when someone from your alliance goes home, it wasn't you that did it. It was just the flow of the game. And I know that's really easy to say, and it's kind of a cop-out answer, but that is how every person has won this game. I mean, not every person, but that's how this game is often goes when you have alliances this big. So you just got to read the cast. You gotta be aware, and you got to be aware of where you stand with other people and give them what they value.
And what's going to win you the game outside of that alliance is for the people who are not in that core 3 or 4 or 5 member alliance that you're a part of, is playing a really good social game for all the people not in the alliance, so that any of those others that will be on the jury, they like you enough to actually give you the vote, even though you didn't really work with them too much.
Be fun to be around. Even if you're not an alliance with someone, if you're fun to be around, that'll help a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, on that note, social media?
Yeah. Like I said, go ahead and leave us a comment if you have any questions for any future episodes or just gameplay in general, and we'll answer them like that and give you a shout out. You can do that at Castaway Pod, which is most of our social media, wherever you like to browse around and find us. And then if you like to watch videos, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, we're on all those, along with our website, which is thecastawayconsultants.com.
And we obviously want your link downs and your survivor pool picks to be commented across social media and on Spotify. qualify. My gameplay question, if you want to go that far, is do you think Kyle and Camilla made the right choice in keeping Shahin this time and not forcing the issue and trying to take out a Loggy? But I would much rather see your Lankdowns, and for those of you still playing, to submit your Survivor pools. So thank you for keeping up with that so far this season.
Mm-hmm.
Been great.
All right. Anything else, guys?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, this has been the Castaway Consultants.
Got nothing else for you.
Good night.